The recent deaths of Eric Garner on Staten Island and also Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri, a lot of people are saying, look, if we're seeing some video, why don't we get the whole picture? Why don't we have cameras actually on the police officers involved in some of these confrontations? Well, joining us this morning to talk more about these body cameras and actually to show us what these things can and can't do is the CEO of Brickhouse Security, Todd Morris. Good morning to you.
Hi. Nice tag.
All right, so now we should start by saying you're a sales guy. I mean, you're trying to get this, you're trying to get a contract with the city, a multi-million-dollar deal with the city, right? I mean, that's your goal.
We design and develop cameras for use by police, but we don't only sell them to the department. We actually sell them to the officers as well, who personally are buying them.
But a number of companies like yours are trying to get the city to say, hey, look, we want to put these on officers. So first of all, why don't you show us some of the cameras that you offer?
So the cameras run from something like this.
Okay.
That is a connected device and wirelessly transmits.
Okay.
So it can be worn.
So you put the camera on yourself here. So you're wearing the camera, and everything that you see, the camera sees, and then we actually can see it on this iPad over here.
Yes.
Okay.
And this one can transmit back to a vehicle, record locally, or record remotely.
So it can record. So it can record like a memory card on the camera itself, or back in the vehicle. There's a hard drive.
This is recording constantly. You can get about 2.5 hours of recording on one battery charge with one of these, and that, of course, is one of the things people are discussing: is how long the battery lasts, and can it make it through an entire shift that a policeman's out.
Okay. What else do you have here?
So this is the most popular device that policemen are buying personally.
Okay.
It's a small camera. Very industrial, easy to hold, easy to use. Police are buying this with their own money because they're afraid that they're going to end up on suspension if someone makes a false accusation against them.
Well, let's talk about this because the idea of false accusations versus real accusations, I mean, there are some officers and some unions that are saying, well, wait a minute, hold up. Don't put these things, don't buy these things just yet. We want to look into it more. Why do you think there's so much hesitation on the part of departments and officers to actually have cameras on them?
So the challenge is with the policy. Is the policy that these should be always on because the battery won't last that long? And if the battery won't last that long and the police officer has to activate it before the action, what happens if they're in a stressful situation and can't activate it? And unfortunately, in a recent survey we did, 70% of Americans think that if the police officer had a camera but didn't push the button, they're hiding something.
I see.
And when in reality, it might just be a stressful situation and they needed to run or grab their gun before they had a chance to push the button.
So as it stands right now, there aren't really cameras that just automatically start, like for instance, like a dashboard camera. Those will start when the lights go on, the dashboard starts to record, like automatically. The officer's not intervening in that.
Those are powered by a vehicle, and unfortunately, police officers can't carry a car battery.
So there are flaws right now. So these things are not perfect. Mayor de Blasio even said himself, he said, look, they're not where they quite need to be for them to be, you know, used all the time.
If the goal is a 24/7, as soon as someone puts this on, it's on through the entire shift, it's going to be a long time before batteries last that long.
So it's not realistic right now.
The policy really needs to be something that is flexible and allows police officers to turn it on, and if they don't turn it on, not assume they're guilty just because of a lack of evidence.
It's actually very interesting. I think a lot of people think about body cameras. They don't think about the idea that an officer would actually have to turn it on and off, and then that creates its own issues. How much does one of these things cost? If you were to sell this to the city, how much would you sell it for?
These run from $400 for a device that's Wi-Fi connected down to under $200 for a personal unit.
The city's, by the way, saying it would cost about $32 million to put cameras like these on every single patrol officer. Some are calling for it, saying it'll be money well spent, might save the city money in the long run. I know some places that have these cameras have seen complaints go down, like, by how much?
Oh, it goes down dramatically. We've seen over 60% of the complaints go down in some jurisdictions, and police officers personally telling us that people stop being belligerent to them because they know you're on camera. And so they know they can't make a complaint and say the officer did something they didn't.
Interesting stuff. Thank you so much for bringing all this stuff in. It really is fascinating in this discussion about, you know, battery life. I mean, all these like techie things, they actually play a big role in whether this is feasible or not. So, Todd, thanks again for coming in.
Thanks for having me.